Meow meow. What up? All right. Sorry, folks, for people who were here for the time that I originally posted it because meow meow kitty. Things came up and I had to push it back. I had to push it back. I had to back it up. Notes. I have notes on the backside of the best cream cheese fruit dip. My daughter loved it. Loved it. I feel like what did I make that for? I feel like sometimes, like one of my children, I feel like sometimes their birthday parties it's like the 12 days of Christmas. They're just unending. Just keep having birthdays. All right, let's get into it. I want to start by laying out the mosaic vision. And I'm going to play some clips. I'm going to read some stuff. I'm going to talk about some things. I'm going to go big picture. Notes from a Tilt-A-Whirl, right? Notes from a Tilt-A-Whirl, Indy Wilson. I played a clip from his, he did a YouTube docu-series thing about it. I also have a heater over here that I turned on because sometimes I get cold. I think I'm going to turn it off right now because it's too hot, and I've been running around, and we'll maybe save it for later. They also have on these I feel like I should do some acrobatics sometimes. I have these sweatpants on. All right, so notes from a Tilt-A-Whirl. He says he gives it away right at the beginning of the book. So this isn't a I should just show you guys the book sometime because it's like an old Bible. It's all beat up and notes written in it. And he says he wrote the book in the same way that he's thinking about a Tilt-A-Whirl, which is a Tilt-A-Whirl it's a carnival ride, like or a amusement park ride, whatever you want to call it, where you get into this little spinning thing. So it spins around like this, but then so you're in a little ball spinning on an axis or in a circle container thing, but then that also spins around a bigger axis. So it's spinning within spinning. So it's kind of like, it's like the solar system. And that's the play is the Earth is a Tilt-A-Whirl, we're spinning on an axis that rotates, 23 degrees, but it also spins. And then that's also spinning, around around the sun, but he writes the book that way. And that's often one of the reasons that I like that book is that's how I think. Like I'll circle out, and the book does that, where he circles out to really big pictures, talking about philosophers, Russian nested dolls of like this philosophical principle. Let's wheel out big and talk about this issue, and then let's wheel in close and talk about like an ant colony or a kid carrying milk in from the grocery store and trips and falls, and how do those things relate? And so he's essentially scaling up and down quickly and with rapidity the ladder between heaven and earth. You know what I mean? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to lay out the mosaic, which is the very big picture, which you can only see out here somewhat. But I'm going to give you all the pieces so that hopefully you can see to the thing that I'm pointing at. So let's start with let's start with how do I want to do this? My notes. I didn't think about it really well. Because eventually I want to get around to talking about protest and ICE. That's the practical inside thing. But to get there, I want to talk about authenticity and also prophilicity within different mediums. And I want to talk about a number of things. So let's, first off, let's go to, I'm going to play this little thing that PVK reposted. Can I do that? Sorry, I didn't have that pulled up. I wasn't ready with that. Bingo. Oh yeah, let's start there. Bingo, here you go. Luke did not have the thing queued up. Okay, let's go to my profile because we're just going to show this. Nope, we're not going to share the thing yet. All right, here's my X profile. And where is it? This was a good thing by Paul Antleitner. Groupthink. That's kind of related to what we're talking about. But we're going to go down here to Matt C. made. Look at Simone Bay. Here we go. Where is it? Luke Bingo. Right? Here we go. Luke talks about himself. Talks about Luke Bingo. Is that one of them? Luke wears a hat. That will probably happen at some point. Embodied. Agree and disagree. Luke comments on a recent tweet. I'm going to do that. But the thing I was looking at is, does not Luke finds hurtful comment? I'm sure that will happen. Nathan, if you come in, we'll get that one. TLC, mindless rambling preamble. That's the center. That's going to happen every time. But wasn't there one? Does not have lurker unveiled. Let's hope that happens. A clip not queued up for a stream. So we already got this. We already got here. We already got here. We already got here. Play along. Okay? Play along. Let's go back and let's find PBK's thing. Because I want to play. Didn't I retweet it? Where'd my retweet go? Shoot! Maybe I did not retweet it. Paul just had it. But it's about... It's this funny little... This thing. All right, here we go.
Oh, perfect man.
No, it was a cute photo of us. Can it be tacky?
But what she got
Oh, not on Facebook.
was the perfect nightmare.
What?
Yeah, no, I'm not on any social media.
Okay, we're gonna save time. Go watch it. This guy, she meets the perfect man, and then it's a comedic bit on, essentially, who even is this guy? How can I know anything about him? Like, he has no social media. Like, how am I going to find out about him? He has no profile. Well, you could just find out about him by talking to him, by his real, it's funny. And a pastor retweeted something that talked about, like, how does he send you dick pics? He's just like, I've never seen a dick pic. I've only seen his actual dick. So anyhow, but it's a commentary on prophilicity and profile and really knowing someone and being real. So what do you do with somebody with no media footprint? And this is something that everyone is going to have to deal with, because how do you present yourself online? And how you present yourself online affect how you engage in real life? Like, in what's going on in Minneapolis right now with ICE and immigration things and Minnesota versus Trump and all of that stuff, are your siloed algorithms that you watch and pay attention to is thinking that the online world is very significant and real, and increasingly spending time online, is that translating to how you act in the real world? And how you embody yourself in your physical world? What is the relationship between the physical and the spiritual? And how do those things react? Okay, sorry. Now I want to go to, let's just, did I want to show anything else in here? This is also related. What a great tweet. These I'm ripping off from a friend in the corner. So this is from Nathan. I think his name's out there, Nathan Filbert, but he did a rando with PBK a while back, and we started emailing occasionally. But this is one of his signatures in his emails. Most of the time, to give oneself to language is to abandon oneself. Interesting. That's part of the mosaic. Let's keep going. It was all. Oh God, I love this one. Cormac McCarthy quote. Here we go. It was always himself that the coward abandoned first. After that, all the betrayals come easily. And the way that I see that is a betrayal of conscience, a betrayal of your honest interior voice, the the truth that is speaking, your truth. And by this, I don't mean you're like authentic, disconnected from everyone else, isolated, autonomous, individual truth, but I mean your conscience, which is obviously very rooted and embedded in your sincerity culture, in all the context in which your person is. Fantastic quote. This is very related. I always think about this. So Nirvana, I love their Unplugged album, but their Plateau is this song where it's nothing on the top but a bucket and a mop and an illustrated book about birds. See a lot up there, but don't be scared. Who needs action when you got words? What a great line. Who needs action when you got words, right? Now we're going to get off X and we are going to go to, we're going to go Bible time, Bible lesson. We're going to James 2. And also, listen, if you guys or gals, if you're having some period time, you might want to think about always. They are, I believe here it says they're 100% absorbent. This is a number 2. Looks like they have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No. Oh, also Pride Rock, Lion King. Check that out. It might be the best thing you've ever done with your time. So James 2 is fantastic. A lot of it has to do with favoritism, but James is known as like faith and works thing, right? So we're going to talk about a little bit faith and works. And the thing, this is very related to, we're going to get into Dostotyevsky. We're going to get into the Good Samaritan. And we're going to get into my prescription and my conviction, in as much as I think I'm being honest with myself about what I think one should do, which is to fulfill the royal law, right? Fulfilling the royal law according to the scripture. But I want to start with, let's say this, go be well-dressed and well-fed, right? So my brethren, do not hold the faith of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory, with partiality. Because God doesn't show partiality, right? He doesn't show favoritism. Sorry, Calvinists. Oh, shit. I know you have a framework that you think makes sense of that, but I don't think it ultimately does. That's an aside. For if there should come into your assembly a man with gold rings and fine apparel, and there should also come in a poor man in filthy clothes, and you pay attention to the one wearing fine clothes and say to him, you sit here in a good place, and say to the poor man, you sit here, or sit here at my footstool, have you not shown partiality? Differentiated, is an alternate translation here, because these little footnotes are just different ways you can translate it. And become judges with evil thoughts. You could go and look at a lexicon, which I'm inclined to do. I love doing that. So I would go to James 2:4 lexicon, and then I want to break this down to see like what exactly is the word of partiality, how is that translated, and judging. What do they mean by judging? I'm sure it's showing like absolute condemnation. That's usually the difference between judgment and discernment. Anyhow, so judges with evil thoughts, because you're saying, oh, rich man, gold, good, poor man, bad. Now, we live in a very thoroughly Christianized Tom Holland post-Christian world where like the golden rule, caring for the weak and the oppressed, charity, all those things are considered very virtuous things, but those come out of very Christian worldviews unconsciously. And we just think whatever, they're Enlightenment, progressive, liberal values or something. They're not Christian values. We just relabeled them something else. Which also makes me think of this great, I sent a little screed audio to a group chat the other day from Neil's video, his deconstruction part 2 video. I'm going to talk about that really quickly. We'll come back to James. This is infundibularity, people. We go down into this rabbit trail, into this infinite ring, down maybe all the way to fairy. And then we come back, and then we go down this one, and then we come back, and then we go down that. It's also laying out a mosaic. Like we're mapping the inner world. So Neil, he does this deconstruction part 2 thing, and he said he was playing this video that was really affecting for him that came out in like 2009, 2011, and how highly produced it was, and it was about this guy's deconstruction faith journey, and that was very powerful to Neil. And then the guy said something in the video where he's just like, there's all this biblical stuff and there's all these things going on, and then we just realized that's just psychology. And I said, okay, here, we're gonna go full screen so I can just be angry. Not angry, but passionate, You don't know what that means. This is the difference between, back to that Maurice Blondeau, to give oneself to language is to forget themselves, right? Isn't that what it said? How was it stated? Let's find it again. Oops, I think I went back too far. What didn't I put it in here? Yeah, most of the time to give oneself to language is to abandon oneself, to not save the appearances. So Atticus Finch, right? The crowd is where man goes to forget himself. That's like to follow the script. You give yourself to the scripted, institutional, whatever language. You adopt the language. You adopt the madness of crowd. You just say the thing that everyone is saying, and it's like the herd evolutionary thing. You don't want to stand out from the herd. If you stand out from the herd, you can be picked off by a predator. So you say the group think. You say the herd think. You say the scripted language. You say the Sunday school answer. You say the right thing. Like right now in Minneapolis, it would just be like, ICE is bad. ICE is bad. They're evil. They are wanting to hurt people. They are not good. We want to get rid of them. Now, is there a seed of truth in everything? Sure there is. Is the narrative map equivalent to reality, to the territory? No, by definition. Let's see O.G. Rose, Daniel Gardner, Godel point. If the map was identical to the reality, then it wouldn't be a map. It would be the reality. But it necessarily has to be a condensed, simplified, excluding form. One of the first videos that I ever made on my channel, to see is to not see. To see something is to exclude. If you see everything all at once, you can't see. So in order to see and to talk and to do anything, to give yourself to language is to lose yourself to some degree. That's just part of what it means. Okay, I started looking at comments and then I immediately started distracting myself. So when you just adopt a new word, like, oh, this isn't spirituality, this isn't gods, this isn't whatever, this is just psychology, internal family systems. But then go around the circle, right? Because then you come back and then now psychology starts talking about internal family systems. What are internal family systems? Oh, spirits that exist within your psyche, a consciousness congress. Like, just giving something a new label and a new word doesn't mean you understand it. George MacDonald Lilith, I'm sorry I can't explain the thing to you. I but barely apprehend it myself. And the fact is, no man understands anything. You only think you understand things because you have unavoidable relations with them. There they are, the table. What notes from a tilt-a-whirl? What is matter? Keep breaking it down. Go down the infinite regress. You don't know what matter is. You also don't know what psychology is. You also don't know what the Trinity is. You also don't know what anything is in its essence. You're just pointing. It's just, and hopefully it's not a mere sign, just pointing at it. It's a symbol. Woo! Woo, woo. We don't want to bark. This is kitty time. Meow, meow. Okay, we're going to go back to James. Okay. Going back to James. And then, oh, not my ex. And then we're going to talk about a few other things, and we're going to open it up. So you're judges with evil thoughts. This can be, okay, are we sharing? Showing favoritism doesn't even have to be fine clothes and gold rings. It's whatever. Do you say the right words? Do you say the correct words? Do you say, I believe in the resurrection? Does that make you a Christian? Do you say the right words? Say the right confessions. Now, does that mean the words don't matter? I'm not saying that. But I'm saying making someone say the right words to put them into a certain camp doesn't make it equivalent to reality. It could be the same as like wearing gold rings or wearing filthy clothes. God is the judge. You're not the judge. You can judge when you've been made perfect. How do you know when you've been made perfect? As a Christian, I would say when you're united to Christ. How are you united to Christ? When you're fully dead in a death like his, which is symbolized in baptism. When you have given yourself for the life of the world. You know, and to what Jordan Peterson's point, that's a bold thing to say. And hopefully you can be like, I was saved, I am being saved, I will be saved. God willing. Lord have mercy. Forgive me my sins as I forgive those who sin against me. Listen, my beloved brethren, has God not chosen the poor of this world to be rich in faith and heirs of the kingdom in which he promised to those who love him? But you have dishonored the poor man. Do not the rich oppress you and drag you into the courts? Do they not blaspheme that noble name by which you are called? Sorry about my coughing. If you really fulfill the royal law according to the scripture, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. This is the royal kingly law. You do well. But if you show partiality, you commit sin and are convicted by the law as transgressors. And this is, I would say it's like up to and including your enemies, right? Your neighbor. Who is my neighbor? Who is my brother? Are the people in Minneapolis who are my neighbors? Is it the people who say the same words as me? Is it the anti-ICE or is it the pro-ICE? Or is it the people that sit in the middle? Who's my neighbor? Is it the ones who are oppressing or who are being oppressed? Who's the oppressor? Which is the narrative that I'm following? The guys with guns? Which guys with guns? The guys that are fulfilling the law that I want them to fulfill or not fulfilling the law? Who do I really love? Can you decide that in the abstract? Ooh, we're pointing towards Dostotyevsky and the Good Samaritan. For whoever shall keep the whole law and yet stumble at one point is guilty of it all. Wow, that's hardcore, right? That's parkour. Rafe Kelly. For he who said, do not commit adultery, also said, do not murder. Now, if you commit adultery, but you do murder, you have become transgressors of the law. So speak and so do as those who will be judged by the law of liberty. For judgment is without mercy to those who have shown no mercy. Mercy triumphs over judgment. What does it profit, my brethren, if someone says he has faith but does not have works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister is naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you says to them, depart in peace, be warm and filled, but you do not give them the things which are needed for the body, what does it profit? Thus also faith by itself, if it does not have works, is dead. But someone will say, you have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without your works, and I'll show you my faith by my works. By works. Some admit the my. You believe that there is one God. You do well. Oh man, look at Sam Tiedemann. You believe there's one God. Trinitarians do too. Even the demons believe and tremble. But do you want to know, O foolish man, that faith without works is dead or useless, powerless? Was not Abraham our father justified by works when he offered Isaac his son on the altar? And was that a good thing? Was offering the promise of Abraham in his son to bless the nations of the earth in his son through his seed, and then you offer that up on the altar to kill it, and that's a good thing. Abraham's like the Abraham story is one of the most insane, paradoxical, weird, but I think it's essential to understanding faith. Do you see that faith was working together with his works, and by works faith was made perfect, complete. His faith was completed by his works. So in that sense, faith is like the seed that then is nurtured and grown and cultivated by his works. Jesus being made perfect by what he suffered. And the scripture was fulfilled, which said, Abraham believed God, and it was accounted to him for righteousness, and he was called a friend of God. You see that man then is justified by works and not by faith alone. Solo fide. Likewise, Rahab, the harlot, was also justified by works when she received the messengers and sent them out another way. Now, this verse, I was really thinking about this. For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead. So the body without the spirit, without the breath. We need the breath to keep the body alive. But then it's almost the opposite. So like faith without works is dead. The works is the embodiment. The works is the body, is the being embodied. And faith is almost like the breath. And so it's like this weird, it's like a weird kind of flip thing. All right. Let's look at my notes. Where do I want to go after James? I don't know if I want to get into the prophilicity, authenticity, mining authenticity and parasociality, because that's maybe, I don't know if we should go there and quite go there. Let's go to, let's just go to, let's talk, I'm going to get rid of this, and then let's talk a little bit about Dostoevsky, the Good Samaritan. I'm just going to talk about him. And then we're going to talk a little bit about George MacDonald, because we got to. And then, as that's related to Good Samaritan and Dostoevsky, and then I'm going to show you a little fun clip, and then we'll open it up and we'll chat a little. And all right, here we go. So my prescription for the situation is that it's really, we'll start by Dostoevsky. So Dostoevsky talks about, or Father Zosima in The Brothers Karamazov. I talk about this all the time. Bingo. Talks about the great philanthropist who loves mankind, right? He loves man in general. I love mankind. Love it. Just, I want progress. I want goodwill. I want the best for the world. I want everything. But hates actual men and recoils at their touch. So this is a little bit of the script, right, of the Sunday school answer. You ask someone, do you wish the goodwill? Do you want the good? Do you love mankind? Do you want the best for the world, for the cosmos? Some people will say, like, mankind is actually, the evil disease. I mean, who said, like, the disease of the cosmos, and that we should, like, just eradicate ourselves for the good of the planet? So then those people don't even love mankind. They just, like, love the world and materiality apart from mankind for some reason, because to them it seems virtuous to care for the world, and you'd even be willing to sacrifice mankind for the good of the world or something. But whatever, that's a little bit of an aside. Mankind, people love mankind, but then they recoil at the touch of an actual another human being. You can see this kind of stuff play out all the time, because people will talk a big game because, we think this is where we're divided men. We are not, and women, we are not integrated all together, because that's the question. Can you love mankind without loving actual persons? Can you love Minneapolis without loving actual potential illegal immigrants and people that ICE is detaining that are here, the actual persons that you come into contact with? You may know their name, you may see them, you may have unavoidable interactions with them. If you don't love those actual people, the actual human beings that you see in your life, they might actually be ICE agents. What if you see actual ICE agents in your life, but you say, no, well, they're the bad people, but they're the evil people? Dostoevsky's point is, like, there is no loving mankind in general without loving actual persons. And this is where I'll go to the story of the Good Samaritan, one that most people know, right? Although I'm not going to assume everyone knows, because Timothy Chalamet, which I did watch, Marty Supreme, which is a great film, very disturbing because he's a psychotic narcissist, and it scares me that there are people like that in the world. But he was on the Graham Norton show. I don't know if I said this on a stream or not. I've told some people about it. And someone was saying, oh, because he cut his hair for Marty Supreme, and they cut off his big locks. And then is it Emma Thompson? Or did she pass away? Someone was on the Graham Norton show, some British actress. She's lovely, very funny. Can't remember exactly who it was. Feels like it's Emma Thompson. But she was saying, oh, did you lose all your power like Samson? And he was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then it was just like this funny thing, because all the older people who grew up in more of a sincerity culture of going to church, knowing the Bible, whatever, like everybody knows who Samson is. Samson and Delilah, cut off your hair, lose your power, because he's, and Timothy Chalamet was just like, I don't I don't know what you're talking about. And to his credit, he said he doesn't know what you're talking about, which is hilarious. But we're talking about the Good Samaritan. So the Samaritan is a parable that Jesus tells about. There's a Jew who's traveling along the road, and he sees this Samaritan. And a Samaritan was a northern half breed in the time of Jesus. So they had mixed and bred with foreign tribes, and so they were half Jewish, half something else. They called them Samaritans, and they were bad. They were the other. They were the people dressed in filthy clothes. They were ICE. If you're in Minneapolis, the Samaritan was ICE. If you are a pro-Trump mega person, it's one of the illegal immigrants or the people that are in process, or it's even the worst case scenario. It's a violent criminal who is also an illegal immigrant who's in America, who was moved in through the evil Biden administration for political purposes and gerrymandering and to rig elections, and it's all part of power plays for American empire globalism, right? Pick your Samaritan. Pick based off of your ideology that you map to the world, that you think accurately portrays the world. Pick your bad guy. That's the Samaritan in the story. And they've been robbed and beaten up and are laying on the side of the road, abused. This is the difference between the great philanthropist in Dostoevsky and the good Samaritan. Sorry, no. So I'm telling the story wrong. Somebody is who's doing this, not a Nazarene. Did somebody correct me yet? No, I'm correcting myself. Someone probably did. The Samaritan is the good person in the story. Sorry. So the Samaritan is the person who's not injured. The one who's injured is just a Jew by the side of the road. Am I remembering the story right? I mean, I think so. It's just like a Jewish person by the side of the road. One of the ones who probably thought they were the outcast, thought they were the bad people, were spitting on them, thought they were the bad people, right? So this would be like the illegal immigrant in Minneapolis walking by the side of the road, and a protest mob, like let's say an ICE agent, they find out who an ICE agent is somewhere, and they're walking through a neighborhood by themselves, and let's say a bunch of just theoretically anti-ICE protesters and things find them, they gang up on them, they beat them up, and they're just like, get the fuck out of Minneapolis, and they punch them up and they beat them up and they do all that, and then an illegal immigrant who ICE would pick up finds that person and bandages them up, pays for them with their own. I can't even. This is the thing that's actually this is moving to me, because this is Jesus Christ Christianity. Takes the ICE agent at the risk of being detained and found out, takes them to the hospital, pays for them for their care, and tries to protect them. That is Christian ethics. Okay? That is what Jesus is talking about. Flip whatever situation you are, flip the narrative. Say it's an ICE agent who's walking by, plain clothes, nobody knows who they are, and they see some ICE agents off duty, some other ICE agents who they don't know off duty, harassing and beating up a protester or something else, and they go and defend that person. Whatever, pick your poison. The point is to make it, and here's the thing. I'm going to relate this to, the Good Samaritan, and I'll talk a little bit about the hidden life, is that you don't love people in general. You love actual persons that come across your path. So then I think because that's what requires real sacrificial love. Arguably in America, and especially in Minneapolis, it requires nothing of you. There's no sacrifice to virtue signal and preach to the choir. I'm not saying that's what everybody's doing. I think a lot of people are doing that, because I think that's the world that we live in, because we've learned that through confessional Christianity. Because it's the same thing. Say my words, say the creed, say this thing, and then you're okay. And if not, you're outside. Put the black square by your profile. Put the whatever. Say my words. Say the correct thing so that I know you are okay. When the Christian call is to actually love people up to and including your enemy. Regardless of who they are in the world. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. And this doesn't mean you have to give up on your convictions. That's what Jesus did from the cross. Father, forgive them. They know not what they do. This doesn't mean that like I'm morally neutral with what you're doing to me. No. We're not talking like arbitrary morality. We are saying morality nested in context that the ultimate value is self-sacrificial love for the other up to and including your enemy, like the Good Samaritan. And I see almost none of it. A lot of these things, and gets into A Hidden Life, because one of the reasons I love A Hidden Life, Terrence Malick's film A Hidden Life, about Franz Jägerstätter, the Austrian in Nazi Germany, when everyone was harassing him and telling him, because this is the thing. Pause on A Hidden Life. Let's bring in, I started watching Ricky Gervais' new Netflix special, and he was saying there's all these people all the time now saying like, and apparently Tim Waltz brought up Anne Frank. He said like, a lot of what's happening right now in Minneapolis will be like Anne Frank. And Ricky Gervais' like point in his special is just like, you think everyone now is just like, if I'd lived 200 years ago, I wouldn't have had slaves. And he's like, that's stupid. That's not, you're lying to yourself. You're lying. You probably would have. If you were a rich person, you probably would have had slaves. You're virtue signaling to yourself. Or they think if like, oh, I had lived in Nazi Germany, I wouldn't have had, I would have sheltered Anne Frank. He's like, so you're telling me Anne Frank comes to your house, there's Nazis everywhere. Nazis are in power. It's not just like ICE is here for a while and then eventually they'll leave. Like think this is like, if Minneapolis really was Nazi Germany and there were if you protested, they would shoot you in the face. They would just murder you. You wouldn't be setting up autonomous zones. They would kill all of you. If that was really the thing that you were risking, then I would maybe think you would have courage to stand out and do that. But the thing is you wouldn't do that because they would just murder all of you and you'd be dead. Like being anti-ICE protesters, that's not the situation we're in. You may think it may eventually lead there, but that is not the actual situation that we're in. So, and Ricky Gervais's point is like, what you would do is you would stiff arm Anne Frank. You would just right in her face and you just be like, how about the next door? They have like they have a great typewriter. You can go right over there. Next door would be a great place to stay because you're actually risking your own life. Like I would say the illegal immigrant being the Good Samaritan who takes the abused ICE person, if you can even imagine such a scenario, to the hospital at your own risk. Yeah, Risto. I mean, we also do have slaves today. They're just debt slaves or they're child traffic sex slaves or whatever. Yeah, you don't get away from these things. You just shove them under the rug or outsource them across the world. Okay, so that's the have I finished that? Ricky Gervais, Anne Frank, virtue signaling. What else was I going to talk about? I was going to talk about something right before Ricky Gervais. So this gets into like protest. I feel like a lot of what protest does, I don't know when the proper time of protesting is. And it's something that is so thoroughly ingrained in the American psyche that like protesting is a good because we have like this, in the same way that we live in the post-war consensus, post-World War II consensus, and everything is framed around Nazis and Hitler. And like the worst thing you can imagine is Hitler or a racist or a bigot or a fascist, right? It's like it's the overriding religious narrative. We also are in the religious narrative of MLK and civil rights, and we just think like protesting is the way. Like that is the thing that we do. It's also very peaceful, respectful protesting, and I would argue like they were risking way more. They were risking prison. Like protesting back then, black people going out and protesting, they just throw you in jail. They did all the time. Like it's happening. It's like what degree of protesters now are getting thrown in jail if they are peaceful and respectful? What percentage of peaceful, respectful protesters are being thrown in jail? I would argue it's 0%. so like it's not you're not in the same world. You think you're telling yourself you're in the same world as like MLK and the civil rights protesters. You're not. It's in a different world. You're not risking the same things. So and that's not saying there aren't issues going on. There aren't problems. Like I'm trying to talk about these things openly and honestly. And I know there are people who will be incapable of hearing it because they are so ideologically possessed on either side that they will just shut their ears. Having itching ears, they will find teachers and people that suit their own passions to tell them what they want to hear. Yeah, I'm going to be triggering folks because this is the thing, is Christianity hasn't been found wanting, tried and found wanting. It's been found difficult and never tried. The story of the Good Samaritan, or, Franz Jägerstätter, we're going back there. Like, that actually requires something of you. Like, you gotta, it's difficult. It's a sacrifice. It's up to and including your martyrdom and death. That's the exemplar of Christianity. Christ in me. That's what it is. It's like, death is imminent. I'm signing up for my own voluntary death, either in the daily self-sacrifice of the white martyrdom of giving up myself for my family, for my neighbor, for whatever, or the red martyrdom of dying, being martyred, being killed for your faith. Like that's what Christianity is dying for people. If you say you're a Christian, you're a martyr. And if you don't live up to your martyrdom, you're a liar and you don't have works and your faith is dead. James, like, it's just, you're either a martyr or you're not a Christian. The red or the white. And I'm not saying you were going to be murdered for your faith, but you're either living a voluntary living sacrifice or you're not a Christian. That's what a Christian is. Embodying Christ to the world. So A Hidden Life, Franz Jägerstätter in Nazi Germany. This is what he does. And Chad Albin and me, a lot of people in the corner love this film, and it's because of this, is like, he holds to his conviction in a Cormac McCarthy way. He does not betray himself like Job, and he judges no one else. He judges none of the Nazis. He doesn't protest. He doesn't say everything that you're doing is wrong. He just says, I will not participate in this. That's Franz Jägerstätter, A Hidden Life. And it is one of the most beautiful pieces of art and films I've ever seen. It's fantastic. Okay, I want to talk about Whitestone Name, and then I'm going to open it up. Right? Aren't we gonna? I'm not going to talk about the authenticity prophylicity thing. That'll just have to be another stream sometime. But that is related to all this because there's profile stuff going on, the image we present to the world, and what that signals to us. Whereas, like, the image you present to the world in a Christian thing is one of, like, self-emptying. And I know the people who think that they're defending the victims, or this is the thing, is everyone. Actually, I do want to play one clip. I want to play one clip because it's related to this. And then this is a clip from, this is putting, like, the anti-ICE people on blast, but you could do an opposite clip, putting the other people on blast. Anybody who's being an objectivist and an ideologue who is not actually giving up their life for the other, but condemning the other, like, that's the opposite of showing partiality of James and not being the Good Samaritan. And this doesn't mean you can't have convictions. So again, I'm not saying that, but I want to show this one. Little clip from Andrew Callahan. Yeah. Look these are my clips. You can go to my channel and you can see the clips that I've made. This one's called Parlato's Stupidity. Parlato's not going to watch this, but that was more. I sent it in a group chat. All right, we're gonna play. Is it playing? Let's go here.
What kind of activities does an ICE watch group engage in on a regular basis?
We have whistles. We yell shame.
Shame! Shame!
We record, we get tags, we get license plates. We hold them accountable because they're cowards.
Wearing a mask doesn't make you tough.
I have my mask down. I don't need a mask because I know what I'm doing is right. I know I'm on the right side of history. And if you want to be on the right side of history, get out here. Get to the street.
What kind of activities does...
There you go. I mean, That says a lot. And I'm not condemning, again, I'm not dimming his perspective. I'm not necessarily condemning his opinions. I don't necessarily hold those. But like that is the right side of history is a tell for an objectivist standpoint. You think your map and reality are the same thing. You think you see everything absolutely clearly, and you think that you can make judgments where you are showing partiality. Have you not become a judge who does evil things? What does James say? You know what I'm talking about? Like, do that on either side. You do that on either side. If you condemn another, this is the opposite of the hidden life, rather than just live out of your own conviction in a self-sacrificial way, you put yourself in the place of God. And this doesn't, again, I'm not saying you can't have conviction. It's the right side of history. And also, again, like that's not Martin Luther King's civil rights. Maybe yelling shame. I mean, there's maybe a time for rightful shame, right? Maybe what they are doing is shameful. I think sometimes it is. I think some of the things that ICE is doing is shameful. Is it a monolith? Is it all shameful? You know, that's a debate that can be had. All right, I want to talk about George MacDonald, but before George MacDonald, I want to play a little Aladdin clip. Can I do that? I mean, it's a scene from. I want to play this little part. Here we go. Stop it. Can I look at designed only for men 45 plus?
What would you wish of me?
Be ever impressive.
But never duplicated. Genie. Oh.
You get it. Never duplicated. Here's the thing. I learned. So this is a good way to understand this. We're going to go into George MacDonald, and then I'm going to open it up. I was listening to Ian, Insight Incorporated. Go check it out, podcast. He had CBACs on his channel recently, and I was listening to that this morning, running around doing my things. And in the comments, this is what a person is, and I'm going to talk about Whitestone name because this is, I think it's related and it's important to this, or I just want to talk about it because it's my channel and it's appropriate. This is why integrity, though, and figuring out who you are and what you have to offer the world is important. The gift that God has given you to give to the world is important because only you can do it. You're a non-fungible coin of God. You're a non-fungible white stone coin of God. And what God has to say in and through you and in your gift through the world can only be said through you because you are fundamentally unique. All right. I think it's more than just protesting. I think it's being creative. It's not just speaking. This is Jonathan Bijot's point. Just speaking against something isn't creating something. Be the change you want to see in the world. Create alternate systems or institutions or pathways. Instead of just speaking against the machine that you see, create an alternative. Create something different that can change the world. Because that's offering a gift to the world rather than just speaking against something. Protest in and of itself is dead. Okay, I'm going to share this and then we'll open it up and people can come in and chatty chat. Okay, so this is where does George MacDonald speak about God expressing something through every particular person that he could not say otherwise express? And what exactly is the quote, or what does he say? George MacDonald discusses this idea in his Unspoken Sermon, Series 1, specifically in his sermon entitled The New Name, the Whitestone name. The concept centers on each person's unique relationship with God, where every individual is created, every person. It's not an isolated, autonomous individual. Keep the individual and the person separate. Is created as a distinct being to reveal a particular aspect or secret of the divine that no one else can. And this allows God to express or manifest himself in ways that would be otherwise impossible without that specific person. This is incarnational theology, kids. That's what it is. Meow, meow. The most directly relevant passages are, not only has each man his individual relation to God, but each man has his peculiar relation to God. He is to God a peculiar being made after his own fashion in the image of God, and that of no one else. For when he is perfected, he shall receive the new name, which no one else can understand. Hence, he can worship God as no man else can worship him. can understand God as no man else can understand him. With every man, he has a secret. I thought I heard something. The secret of the new name. In every man, there is a loneliness, an inner chamber of peculiar life into which God only can enter. I just spit. That's very Rilke and solitude. And that's one of the hardest things. That thing, I mean, that's infundibularity. That's fairy. That's the innermost door where I think you receive with meekness the implanted word, that which has no door, which is interesting in the book Little Big, which only God can enter. And that's, there's a loneliness, man. I have not made peace with that. For this, it follows that there is a chamber also, O God, humble and accept my speech, a chamber in God himself, into which no one can enter but one, the individual, the peculiar man, out of which chamber the man has to bring revelation and strength for his brethren, the gift to offer his world. That's what I'm talking about, which isn't protest. This is that for which he is made, to reveal the secret things of the Father. For each has within him a secret of the divinity. Each is growing towards the revelation of that secret to himself, and so to the full reception according to his measure of the divine. George MacDonald rocks. He's awesome. All right, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to do this for 40-ish minutes. Again, listen, I will open it up, but we're going to do this. This is part of the ritual, the liturgy. I should have this. I should write this out. That would be fun, right? Because I should know my own rules, and I should be able to repeat them and tell people. Channel guidelines. Here we go. Channel guidelines before you come in here. We're going to share it. Channel dashboard, channel guidelines. Are we there? I'm going to zoom in. No name calling. Okay? No name calling. Steelman ideas, Starman persons. This is where, like, you can disagree with ideas, because we're waging war against powers and principalities, and a lot of times ideas are pointers to spirits that are trying to embody themselves in persons in a very that hideous strength way, and they are and they are spirits that are either good or bad, and sometimes that's hard to discern. But like, there are certain patterns that we have, habits, spirits, patterns, embodiments that are not good. Like, name calling would be a bad spirit. So I think it's okay to speak against that spirit, but we don't want to speak against the person. And also, we want to present the ideas in the best possible way that we can. It's like that Tim Keller quote, or it's like, be able to re-articulate the other person's position in a way that not only would they say, yes, that's good, but I couldn't even say it better. That's steel manning. Like, otherwise you're just playing competition hierarchies. This is Jordan Peterson, Kathy Newman stuff. And then Starman persons, charity. Okay? And then try to listen and ask genuine questions more than you talk. And this is, listen, I don't know if you're here, buddy, but this is our good friend Alex. Alex, love you. This is one of the things that happened in my last live stream. Alex can tend to be loquacious. He can tend to be verbose. He can talk a lot. You know, he's not necessarily, like, brevity is not his strong point. But when we get into a live stream and there are multiple people in there, you have to be brief. Try to listen as much as you talk. You have to make space for other people, because if you're seeking understanding and asking questions, and that is your orientation, then you are trying to understand more than you're just trying to speak and colonize and be understood. And that shows humility, and that's good. And temperament is part of it. Listen, I talk a lot, but that's why I live stream for an hour and monologue, and then I have people come on, and then I try to shut up some. I try. So try to listen, ask genuine questions. John Van Donk, estuary, this whole thing that's part of this community. Sorry if you don't know what all that stuff. I'm guessing most people on my channel do. Estuary is a place for listening. Like, if you're a talker and not a listener, you're probably not going to like estuary that much, or it's going to be a good discipline for you. Okay, do not interrupt. I reserve the right to moot and boot. Moot and boot. Moot and boot. Boot and scoot and boogie. That's Brooks and Dunn. Okay, it's the channel guidelines. We're going to leave, and we are going to rock and roll. And then I'm going to pin the thing when I post it. And sorry, I think I stepped all over Seabax's. Yeah, Seabax right now. Look at this. This is what's happening with Seabax. 14 are watching. 14 people are not here, and they're over at Seabax's because they're watching his premiere. And that's my bad, Seabax. I took your people. Okay, I'm gonna go pin my comment and look at comments and see what people come in. My hair looks terrible, but that's all right. It's part of my brand. It's part of my profilicity. Okay, look at who we got. Look at who we got, kids. What up, guys? Ian, what do you have to say, buddy? I'll be right back.
I'm grateful that you spent some time watching my episode this morning. That was fun to hear. Were you shoveling? It's mostly shovel time where I live.
No, I don't have snow right now. Are you talking to Sam?
No, you, Luke. I don't know where Sam lives.
Michigan, right?
Yeah, we got some snow, but yeah.
Look at
Yeah.
this is for my boy Nathaniel Chrisman. He hasn't come out of the lurk yet. Met him at Northwestuary. He's a stud. He messages me occasionally. He just started an estuary. Go check it out. Find him. So around Portland somewhere. I'm just doxing him. He loves Dehan, and this is a Dehan hat. So he was wondering as I was wearing it if it has all these little fuzzies all over it though for my scarf. Because listen, now in Minneapolis, when you go out, you better be layered, kids. We're talking long underwear.
Scarf up around the head.
Yeah. Scarf around the neck, multiple layers, wool. Don't be messing around. Who? Yes. Is this Brett? Sorry, Ian. I want to get to what you have to say, but I think we have a day of Christmas, a lurker breaking the fourth wall. Brett, what's up? Is this your first time on a stream?
10-4.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
Bingo B, right?
Yeah.
I'm so happy. That's really great. Okay, we'll get around to doing a mini randos, but sorry, I'm breaking my own decorum. Let's go back to Ian. What do you have to say, buddy?
I just added you under a post from George Mack about the non-fungible persons, and that's where I got that language from. He's like the ad professor on X, if people know anything about that. Friends with Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom. And so he really just does like advertising copy. That's like his shtick. But he's been working on agency for a while, and it's something that I think converges in sort of the Venn diagrams of the channels and things that make up my algorithm. I talked with Lucas Van Oss about this a little bit, how like self help is sort of this field that captures a lot of people on the way to some sort of like wisdom. That's why Chris's channel is called, or his podcast is called Modern Wisdom. Like these things are forms of compatibility to reality. And so that's something I've been thinking about. I don't know. I'm mapping that to the conversation about each person being like a reflection of the divine or an extension of it. And the need to sort of discover how to free yourself. That sounds a little woo, but like to be free in conversation, in action, in expression, so that that thing that you bring to the table with your Whitestone name, even you don't know what it is, can sort of come out. And so when we talk about like star manning people and talking about like challenging the spirits rather than the person, I think that's part of the necessary infrastructure to create a group or a community that a space that people can come out in that way, and then we are able to participate, in Christian terms as the body of Christ, in, coming up into the fullness of the stature and all of that beautiful language we get from Scripture. So it's just something I've been thinking about recently. I've talked about it on the last like 3 things I've done on the internet, but we were talking about institutions with PVK, and I tried to say, like, man is the original institution. It is actually the individual. That individual expression of God is the basic institution. And I don't want to, we talked about that too much. It's like too catchy of a phrase, so let's leave that out of it. But I just want to say, like, people are primary in Scripture, but then also like in a sort of real sense. Like, a community is only as good as its ability to create and sustain individuals, And I think that's where I'm coming to, trying to bring all of the things I just laid out together, is like, it's not all about you. So it's not an individualism in that sense. But we do need to create space for people to be who they are so they can participate within the whole or the collective. And I think we see problems with this all over the place. Like in New York City, Mom Donnie is pushing for collectivism over individualism. That's his language, like laying that out. And I think it is similar to the problems that we have in like a church situation, where it's like, you need to say the thing so that we can know that you're part of the collective. But then if you say that, then you'll lose out on all of the individual shine of the divine in each person.
Yeah, there's some kind of there's a great Lewis quote, because you can lose yourself on either side. It's something where, like, he says the virtue of civilized man, half of that is virtue and half is vice, because that's even the idea of the institution, but like man as the institution, because the only part of it that's a little different is, I think, the Whitestone name, the divinized, theosified human being, is, in that sense, it isn't an institution. It's just because you're shining with, it's the transfigured shining with the light of God. It's almost like it's where man becomes fully God of fully God.
It's sort of the uncreation or uncreated nature of God extended through humanity, or something like that. Like, God isn't created, but he is structured. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
the structure is separate from institution.
Well, and you can lose yourself. The problem with all of these things in protest, and the confession and using the words, is like, you can, that, like, is it courageous to say, when is it courageous to say the words of the crowd, and when is it not? And like, when is it virtuous? I think the thing that I'm trying to point out is, like, Martin Luther King or Luther risked a lot to go against the crowd. And in Minneapolis, like, what would be going against the crowd? It would be going out there and not being anti-ICE. Like that, like, I honestly feel like if I went to certain parts of the city and I even said, like, the situation is complicated, it's not completely black and white, and ICE isn't the Gestapo, like, I feel like people would beat the shit out of me.
That's why people
like,
don't do that. Yeah.
Right. That's the vibe. But like that's the actual risk. That's the courageous thing. Like, going out and saying, like, ICE sucks, fuck ICE. Like, that's costing you nothing. Everyone's just like high fives you.
Yeah. It seems to me like a little bit of taking the Lord's name in vain, or taking the crowd's name in vain, or something like that. So like, the crowd has enough energy and power that they can ascribe the Lord, I'll just use that language, but like God, the highest good, to their cause, because there's no one willingly opposes them, but
Right.
then you get the a hidden life situation where that person actually represents God and doesn't need to claim anything. There's no judgment coming from him, because it's just true. Like, he's just aligned with reality.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not betraying his conscience. Okay, Sam, what do you say, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really, first of all, grateful for, I think, the clarity and like, of all the things you could focus on in this time, it feels like, you're focusing on the right thing. Maybe that's just like me reiterating my own, lens onto you or something, being like, well, I would focus on this, so that's what you should focus on. But it's like the mystical divine union, the inner heart of the person's deep calling out to deep is kind of like, yeah, of course that's what's essential. Of course that's what's important. And that's what's truly meaningful in the sense that, like, on a person to person basis, this is the part that you can't control. This is the part you can't systematize. This is the part you can't like make a program that like incorporates and initiates and like goes and like you feel like you got the ROI of your investment on, but it's still, it's how things actually get done. It's how there's real meaningful change. So thank you, first of all. I'm just kind of at this point in my life where I'm trying to be a lot more practical and like just seeking wisdom in the real sense of like, how do you, if we're all these shards of God, we're all these individual, parts of who he is and expressing the consciousness, this non-fungible person. Is it the still small voice that Jordan Peterson says, we just go that full kind of more JBP route, just listen to your conscience, quiet yourself, stillness, and let that be your guide, what do you practically do to get in touch with your true identity as opposed to all of the systems and structures? And I'm asking you in particular because I share a background with you and I share a pressured sense of externalized, like, well, the Bible tells me so. Therefore, like all of these things that are like, this is what you should do. This is what a good boy does, like how you line up your life in all these moral ways, that then it's like, well, who I am actually is like, I like transgressing sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, but it's like, I can never say that. Like you could never, but so I'm just curious how you get past those layers down to the part of like, well, this is who I am. And also I'm making a choice that isn't just totally based on some false, like, there's little delusional voices in my head too that I could totally be seduced by.
What did I do? Did I mute? I muted everyone. I muted myself. What happened? Can you hear me
now?
Okay, I can hear you. Sorry, my bad. I was trying to. Sorry, I'm distracted because I'm trying to go make more mods. I have to make more moderators because I don't know what's going on in the channel.
Hive mind.
The hive mind. It's being, but I gotta make some of my boys mods. It could be girls. Listen, I'm not a sexist. Listen, guys, I'm not a sexist. I'm very pro women. I'm not a misogynist. I want everyone to know that. So to your point, I don't, part of it, like even you saying all that, number one, thank you for the encouragement, but also, I feel like in a way, I'm not great at this stuff. Like hopefully my family would say that I model, humility and grace and asking forgiveness and not being self-righteous. I mean, I hope they would say that. I think my family would say that I've grown in that. I definitely, and that's all you can expect of people. Like I think as somebody on the self-righteous spectrum, at least being extroverted and which that's, I don't know if I really am, but like very enthusiastic, very passionate. I felt like I was just very self-righteous a lot. My wife even has a name for it. She calls it like my bobblehead, where she's just like, I get a little like Varys. I'm a little bobbleheady, but I think I'm getting better at that. But like, even to the point of some of the quotes that I had, like that, I don't know if I shared this, but another one, Nathan Filbert, in like his signature, he has this another great quote about, Alan's figuring his stuff out, where it's about silence and cultivating silence. And even that one George MacDonald quote was very much about Rilke and inner solitude and the loneliness. And, salvation isn't one of addition, but abstraction. There's all these quotes about silence and prayer. And I don't feel like I'm good at cultivating that. Like I have a very deep frantic. Like I'll talk against the gospel of just try harder, but then I do it all day. I feel like there's so much stuff that needs done, and then I just go more and more and get anxious and crazy. And I almost said, like, I said to my wife the other day, because things have been wild, and I said that I'm gonna I said, almost out of an act of just like like, this is all I have is the protest and rebellion of my own busyness and anxiety. I said, when I just start getting like super maxed out, where everything is really busy and all these things are going on, you have to jump cars and because it's freezing cold and throw in this party, and I'm just gonna, like, out of protest, I'm just gonna like stop and just like sit on the floor. And I'm just like do nothing. Like, I'm not gonna do anything for a half an hour. Just because. But what I should be doing probably is saying daily prayers, cultivating silence. I mean, that's part of the humility that comes from, I think, an active prayer life, is that you are saying, okay, yeah, life is very busy, but I'm going to do this every day. I'm going to do this thing that, like, the kind of, I mean, it's a big, like, middle finger to the modern world to spend 30 minutes in prayer every day. Like, it really is. But, again, like, that's not one of those things that I really believe yet, because I don't do it. So I think that's a huge part of integration. Trying to be really honest. I think Jordan Peterson's advice of, tell the truth, or at least don't lie, especially to yourself. Anselman's helping me. Like, part of me, I feel like it's, that when you get older, when your kids are gone, it feels like it'd be easier to pray because, like, you just have more time, or then, yeah, it'd be obvious, but then it wouldn't be a sacrifice. It wouldn't actually be a difficult thing. Like, prayer now feels like a really difficult thing. Maybe that's something I need to ask for friends and accountability for coming over Lent. Anyhow, talking too much. Brett, welcome. Tell us, I've seen you in the comments for a long time, buddy, and for a while at least. Tell us how long you've been around, why you broke the fourth wall, and give us a little mini randos. Tell us who you are.
Yeah, no, I was, can you hear me okay? Just to
Yep.
make sure. Okay. Yeah, I was, I think most of the time when you guys do live streams, I'm working. So it's like, oh man, this would be a good day. Nah, man, this would be a good day. So I was off today and I was like, maybe tomorrow I'll come on, because I saw the topic and I'm like, this ought to get interesting. The other thing too, I was thinking about, was it's like, there's a value in those comment sections, obviously. I mean, there's a lot of people that, I don't know, sometimes they get shamed for staying in the comment section. And I don't think that has anything to do with sometimes them being afraid or anything like that. But anyway, that's my thing with that. As far as background, I grew up in a Lutheran church, but then my parents gravitated away into non-denominational or charismatic churches. Then we ultimately ended up moving up to Port St. Lucie, Florida. And then once we did that, we found ourselves in a Christian Reformed church. But the Christian Reformed church that we were going to, because of the area, is more mega churchy. So nobody even knew it was a denomination. Like, most people that go there don't even have a clue that it's a CRC church. So I remember when I started deep diving into theology, and I'm like, wait, what? We're part of a denomination? Really? And then I looked into it and I was like, wow, actually, this makes sense to me, but let me, go further. So, that kind of is what started my whole theology exploration. I found the TLC because Paul Vanderklay did a podcast about the Senate and about my pastor. And I was like, I just happened to be searching for the Senate and my pastor, and then his channel came up and I started listening. I'm like, he's actually got a lot of really good points, insights, and he's fun to watch. so then I seen this whole other world that he's involved with when it came through the Jordan Peterson route. And I mean, I was interested in him, but not to the level of most people in this group. I just didn't put a lot of, stock in some of these people, even though he was way different than anybody else coming out of academia. So I found him that way, and I found this little corner from a completely different avenue. And so basically I've just been watching a lot of your guys' channels, subscribing to some of them, listening to some of them, hearing where people are coming from, where their telos, and seeing it. And I remember when Paul came to Florida for the conference, I was going to be there. So I was like, oh, this would be a good time to talk to him. And I was like asking him about, you and Mark. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I'm trying to figure this out. Like, so, is this evangelism? What is this, and realizing over time that just people have their own channels, and they have their own roles and where they're coming from and what their perspective is, and how they were made up and what they believe in. So I started thinking about a ministry of my own in a podcast and a channel and all that stuff. But I wanted to have two. I wanted one that's more like this, where I can have open discussions with people, but then, something separate that's not, that's more, religious, and that not, it's not bound by such openness.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So, so that's kind of where I'm going with it, and we'll see how this plays out.
Nice. Is your channel just associated with your handle?
No, this is my personal YouTube thing. The algorithm is all jacked up on this one. And so I've got one that's going to be, like more Bible stories and maybe interviewing people in the university. I'm a seminary student in Calvin. And so I, interviewing some of the professors or some of the pastors in the denomination, doing some connecting Bible narratives to the larger narrative. I thought that would be cool. It's good experience. Yeah. And then the other channel will be just more opinionated. And I just didn't want them to be connected. I just wanted there to be, a differential between that, because, you might have something that you want to put out there, and then, your other side is like completely devastating that channel. So
yeah. No, I think that's a good idea. Or you have to have different, you can have your own like little flotilla within your flotilla, where like, this is where I do the live streams. Cause I've thought about similar things too, like whether I should have more bounded live streams at a different time where I don't just open it up to everyone, or just you have individual conversations with people, or you can just have like like an educational thing. Like I want to go through a topic. So I think that's a good idea. Do you know what the name of your channels would be yet? Or how are we going to find those out when it happens?
Yeah. I mean, I obviously don't have any content yet up on it, cause I'm still doing, like more research, and I'm making sure the outlines are done correctly. And I'm not just, shooting from the hip, although it's fun watching.
Each to his own.
I know.
Each to his own.
So the main one that's going to be more, Bible centric or historical Bible stuff, the teachings and stuff, is going to be the Flock and the Fold. And then the other one is going to be A Flock Apocalypse Now. I just thought that would be a good title, because it is a bit chaotic when you start bringing all these different views and perspectives in, as with your live chat.
Right. And I feel like that's why a lot of people who come into TLC are often so confused. They're like, what is this? But that's part of like, are you familiar with the distinction between Christian YouTube and TLC? Like when we talk about that, because that is the distinction. Like the Christian YouTube has it's much more clearly bounded with rules and objectives and telos. And this is what we're going to try to do. And like, this is the framing, but it's not as, and there's a place, there's a place for both. I'm a big fan of the McLuhan thing, you know, the medium and the message. But I think in either of those, the goal is to have that Whitestone name, Christ spirit, where the medium, Christ in me, because then the medium and the message are one. That's where you can, because I'm trying to be Christ in this medium. Like, I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing. But you can do that with a educational, topical thing. I've even thought about doing that. Like, I should just go through all the ecumenical councils just on as a series, because I've never done that myself, and I might as well do that and then just, you know, talk about it like Sam does with the church fathers or something. But yeah, it's great. Thank you. If you have a flock, the flock in the fold, and a flock apocalypse.
Now, the flock apocalypse. Now, there's a bunch of them apparently. The first one got kicked. Some musician who had one follower or one subscriber, I think, booted me. So I added now, and I added a couple of dashes. So I'll post them in the chat in a little bit.
Sweet, that'd be great. Yeah, I'll throw them up on the channel too, or whatever. You can maybe put them, if you remember, put them in the comments underneath if somebody wants to find them. But
cool, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on, buddy. Alan.
Hey.
Yeah.
My goal in this space is really to just make it more sort of like divided along like clear denominational. Like I'm arranging a debate between Luke and Jay Dyer, actually, so we can actually figure out who's like true and who's a fraud, you know. So
do you guys
look out for that.
Do you guys
really
think
soon.
do you think Jay Dyer would, like, if he stumbled across my channel, do you think he would like it?
No.
Okay. No. I've never watched his stuff. I don't really know. I mean, I know his reputation, but
yeah. I really just came on to say hi to Sam because I haven't seen him since mid-Westuary. But
it's a bummer.
But no, I think this is what's kind of funny about TLC is like, and why everyone says, like, when people say, "Oh, nothing ever happens," it makes me laugh because it's really not supposed to be the place where you get together and then like take, "Oh, this is the action we're all gonna take," you know. We're all going to do this together. We're all going to be on this side of the issue. We're all going to be this, that. And like, I think having places where people are just this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to take action on before you get embedded in a movement or an ideology is of value, you know? Like, there's a point in young people's lives where, you know, maybe they're going to follow, like, you know, conservative politics, liberal politics. They're going to get absorbed into Andrew Tate. Maybe they're, you know, and that's going to start seeing, you know, their vision's only going to be for that. And I'm not saying you should never put your cards down and be like, this is who I am. What I'm saying is there's a point just before that where you're in taking in all these ideas. You're watching the YouTube videos, you're watching the political YouTube videos, you're watching the like culture warrior political, you know, YouTube videos. And then you're assessing in your mind. And I think that this group is good for like having other people to talk about some of these things without them trying to sell you on like, that's why you should, you know, take my course. And, you know, we're not going to be able to stop people from like, you know, no, we will be the vanguards who debate Jay Dyer or debate the MAGA people or debate the anti-ICE people. It's like, that's not our position, but our position is to like help people work this out in a world where I don't think a lot of people have a space to work out these ideas, honestly. I mean, how many young men feel like they can, I'll speak for men because I was a young man at one point, can honestly say like, oh, I was able to talk to someone about how I felt about, you know, school or talking to girls or going to college. Like, you know, most people are like, nobody. Most people, the first time they hear someone honestly talk about that, you know, that person's trying to sell them a course, you know? So that's why it's so easy to get absorbed into these movements. So that'll be my 2 cents.
All right, that's excellent. I want to say I'm not trying to sell anyone anything. I don't need you to like and subscribe, to send me money. However, if anybody, I did go and watch Sinners with my son, and if anybody wants to buy me a Coogee sweater, that is totally welcome. I would love one. You could buy me one, send it to me. I actually want one of their jackets. It's like a cardigan that opens to the front but I'm very particular on the style. And so if anybody wants to do that, that would be accepted. That's an acceptable form of payment for just appreciating the general things that I do. It's great because like my son, I wasn't crazy about the movie. It felt like a mosaic that had a lot of different beautiful pieces that I was just like, I don't know what the picture is. Like, what are you trying to do with this movie? I don't like vampires. Cool. Michael B. Jordan doing his thing, being music was cool. Like there was some really cool music in it. But I was just like, what is the cohesion? Like what's going on? And it wasn't like a Terrence Malick movie where it was just like, I think there's cohesion here, but I'm just not smart enough and artistic enough to see it. It's more just like, it feels like, is this a racial commentary piece? Is it what's going on? Is it like there's dangling plot lines? Like why was that even talked about? What's happening? But that sweater was dope. And as soon as he came out in it, my son just like leaned over to me. He's like, "You want a sweater, don't you?" I was like, "Yes, I do." Yes, I do. Christian, thank you for the hat, buddy. I appreciate the kind of, just group participation we get here. And I'm sorry I stepped on your premiere.
Well, man, I'm here to double up on my pro Felicity. Ian released a podcast this morning with us, and then I released one, and now I'm here. It's all happening at the same time.
You have 1,000 subs now.
I'm a big deal. Okay. But I did think that it was cool. I came up and I was mirroring this Zoomer up here, having this in my studio. This was just on my TV stand. I bought this at ARC. It's London. And it's just what was available. And then I saw Ian and I thought, oh man, that means I'm cool because he's a Zoomer. Congratulations, Brett.
Touch your balls.
Oh, touch balls.
Wait,
you guys are doing it opposite.
We go all sorts of places in this corner.
No Diddy.
Anyways,
what are you guys thinking about?
The most salient point. I was trying to pay attention to my own premiere chat, but your most salient point that I caught about, you said something like, "What is really the brave thing is to not say like." Well, we're in a weird time. Because 4 years ago it was like all cops are bastards, and now the cops are our friends and second, but not like. Yeah, it's like it's so, and now all the libs are like Second Amendment, and it's like all the conservatives are like don't bring guns to protest, and Kyle Rittenhouse, and it's like the narratives, and I'm just gonna put on it snowed real good up here in Arkansas, and been having fun driving in the snow. That's what I'm thinking about.
Nice. Thanks, buddy. So I want everyone, we want to go around and do final words because I'm going to shut this down. But I would just say, for me, it's
Luke is muted.
Am I? No, I'm not.
No.
Or y'all know, just me. I lost the connection.
Okay. Ark, too much snow.
Wait, do you have over 1,000 subs and that stuff happens?
Yeah. How do you can't hear people with 1,000 subs? How do you hear all the fans? Seaback.
I don't hear them. That's what's sad about YouTube. You don't hear them. You just is a void.
Yeah.
It's just a void. That's why you have Midwest Estuary and things.
Yeah. Just Christian pulled me aside at Midwestuary and was like, "You're nothing. You're not. No one's ever gonna believe you that I said this to you." But he pulled me aside at the hotel bar and said,
"Yeah,
you're a pawn."
You asked him. I think I remember that. I was there, and you like asked him for a selfie so people would believe you met him. He's like, "No, you're a piece of garbage.
You're nothing.
Kicked you.
Everyone loves me. They hate you." So, and then he just turned around and he's like, "Hey, what's up, guys? Anybody want to do like a video with me? Anyone want to make content?"
What really happened is I said, "Hey, we're going to go to this after party. It's going to be at this bar." And then everyone switched bars, and I didn't tell Alan, and he really thinks that I like ditched him for real. But that really did happen.
the worst part of conferences is who you're gonna hang out with at which after event. It's terrible. I hate it. Okay, so for me, my last word, and I want to go around. I'll just do like let's do a reverse wheel, and we'll end with Sam. But my last for me, it's Minneapolis does not feel good right now. It doesn't feel great at all, and it feels like a powder keg. It feels like, and also it just feels like, we had George Floyd, we had COVID, we had this thing, and it's just like, what's coming? What's this going to evolve into? What's next? We have the Somali fraud stuff that just like people aren't even talking about because it's all ICE all the time. And it's just like, I'm starting to have questions, honestly, where like we were going to put down roots here. This is like, we didn't grow up here, but this feels like the place that's most stable for our kids. And I'm just like, if it continues being just like a crazy shit show where like the streets could be on fire every couple of years, is this where I want my kids to settle down and have grandkids? Like I don't. And then it's just like, and then you just abandon a place because it starts to get bad, which happens. People leave California, people go. But then all that's left are the people who are, somewhat honorably or virtue signaling dishonorably preaching to the choir, and then the whole town goes to shit, and then they might eventually leave, and then everything's just terrible. So like I say all this, sorry, I got a little ranty and preachy. I say all this to say like it's very real. It feels very real and practical for me, where it's like either people in Minneapolis are going to have to learn how to speak across ideological, political, religious lines. And this is why I've been talking about pluralism lately. I'm probably going to have a conversation with Daniel about pluralism. Like we either learn how to do that, or it's just power games where either people divorce and leave because the bad team won, or we have war. Like I feel like those are the options, and I'm advocating people learning how to talk across lines and actually be Christian, which is why the Good Samaritan, a hidden life thing, non-judgment, non-partiality, James 2, being a good Samaritan. It feels like we have to do that, or it's divorce or war. Those are my last words. Alan.
Yeah.
Can you stop work for a while and just be present with us, please?
No. I'd rather die. Yeah, I think it's war then. After you said that, I think I realized I'm just pro-war. I was bopping around in my head, and then I just realized I'm a war guy. So the only thing I'll add to this is I think if you take this stuff really seriously, like these ideas, you get very different answers. You get very different behaviors is what I mean. And what I mean by that is like, it's not like you can bolt on like, I'm going to live my 9-to-5 life and it's going to be this way. And I can afford to have this kind of wedding and I can afford this life. And then I'm going to bolt on like this Christian ethic that will help me deal with the people I don't like. It's like, it's either from the ground up or not. And I think that takes a lot more humility to actually live your life that way, because it's like, yeah, you're not going to be the one who does the Pepsi commercial and like walks through the crowds and loves everybody in such a way where, both sides just hug and make up. It's like to accomplish anything would be like miraculous. So to like live your life in a ground up, like how am I going to really like, can I even influence my friends? Can I influence my parents? Can I be loving to the people closest to me? Like, I'm not saying this to like people be like, oh, you're just avoiding the real conflict, but it's like people are like so excited to, oh, well, let's apply the Christian ethic to World War III. And, how will I give a big hug to the atomic bomb that China sends over? And I'm not saying you're saying that, but it's like, how about we just try like, what about your friends? What about your family? What about your community? What about showing, these things like, okay, and if you get really good at that, such that that's like easy peasy, lemon squeezy, then we can like go one level up. But let's not just enact the Christian ethic when it's like, oh, the bombs are falling and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I always think of like the person who's like, you know, it's like a person who's never left their bed being like, if I really needed to, I could run a marathon. It's like, you can't even get out of your bed. What are you talking about? And now you're like, oh, I'll just run a marathon. If you put a gun to my head, I could do it. It's like, even if you put a gun to someone's head, if they'd never even run a single time before in their life, they would die before they completed a marathon. So that's my little rant.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I mean, one step at a time, I guess. Brett, what do you think? Last words.
Yeah, I was thinking about your title for the video was Dosotyevsky, and I was thinking about how like he was seeing suffering as a pathway to truth, and it seemed like he believed that suffering was the only way to gain consciousness or spiritual depth. And I was thinking to myself, like, you know, like I've been on Mark Parker's chat room and stuff like that, and it seems like there's like multiple types of people here, like maybe 4, I guess. Like there are people that have experienced suffering and it impacted them in a negative way. And so like you have people that are responding in this way, like with the protests, and then people that have impacted them in a positive way, where it changed who they are, how they saw things, and how they respond to people. And you hope, I guess, that would be a perfect Christian life type scenario. And then people that have never experienced suffering at all, and they're totally disconnected from that side of it. And then you have people that I think this is probably the most rare one, is somebody that hasn't experienced suffering but can sympathize genuinely with it. I don't know how many of them there are out there, but that was kind of what I was thinking. And all these are just responses. And that's the other thing too. You mentioned Mandami, and somebody said something about how he's trying to use the collective, but really it's kind of a false, it's not even it seems like he's using people's selfish feelings as a collective. You know what I mean? Like he's telling you to, you know, he's tapping into your emotional, you know, center and making you want to be part of this giant collective, which is really weird. It's like the opposite. So he's trying to, you know, it seems like he's tapping into the people that are suffering in a negative way and trying to use them collectively for obviously political reasons. So I don't know what those reasons are. I mean, I can guess what they are, but I don't know. It just, that's the bummer about emotions and feelings, is that when it starts guiding you and governing you, that's when it gets kind of scary. You know what I mean? So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Christian.
Man, when you explain it that way, it doesn't sound that much different from MAGA, but you know, but that's that's populism, you know, ultimately. And yeah, even all this stuff, like, I mean, I kind of got upset about the cultural goings-ons like yesterday. You know, it made me angry. And it doesn't matter. I mean, it does in a way matter what's driving, which side of an argument is driving your anger, but at the end of the day, it's being driven against somebody else, maybe even somebody you care about or that you love. And so I don't know, they're not great answers for, like, Luke, what you're saying about what do I do with my life, my family, like in this what does it mean to care for a place, like to give yourself to a place? What does it mean to, you know, and there's it's so interesting, like you're saying, this hot spot that you're in, because I through this medium I've met you, met CW, met some other Minnesotans, and then I was watching on Facebook, do you know the Christian music artist Sarah Groves?
Yeah, I just found out she lives in St. Paul like last year.
Yeah, she's there. I guess Paul Antliner's up there, and like,
yeah.
But I was watching her kind of response, and it's just so fascinating to listen to people, you know, just from these everybody's different perspectives, and then you can be angry for your political side from like, 600 to 1,000 miles away and vice versa, and think it has all this meaning. And then you get online and it's like, oh, look who's posturing in my Facebook community this way and that way, and who's being third way and Keller, like you're just watching it all. And you're affected by it, and you have opinions. And I just, it's so being able to come to a place like Open It Up just to thank you for like, at least in some way, like opening it up to have a conversation that's not about which camera angle is correct, but just about how you feel, yeah, go check out my conversation on Ian's channel. We had a podcast. I got one that came out today. Luke's sitting on it. Come stay here and listen to Luke's stuff. Go back to the beginning and listen to his rant at the end.
Oh, so nice. Yeah, thank you. Ian.
Yeah. I really liked what Alan had to say. So I think I'll just talk about that for a little bit. He's probably the most substantial person on this screen right now.
You see too, before he didn't realize he was doing it, but he held his comb. So he's showing us all that he's combing his hair before he comes on stream. The vanity. The vanity.
That's true. That is why I'm wearing my hat, though, because I didn't comb my hair. I just think that I think it was in the chat, like a holy discussion or something like that. We don't have spaces for that. I think a lot of things institutionally come top down. Like, is this okay to say? Can I confess this? And I'm trying to figure out how to utilize the tools that have been developed through the discourse of the TLC over the last 10 years or whatever. I'm just like digging through old ideas and memes that have come through this community to try to apply it. I'm like trying to figure out how to do an estuary in my community. But I don't, like, the people I know don't want to do that. That's why I found you guys, because I started a podcast to talk to the internet just into the void, because that was better than, just getting shut down or ignored. I'm watching New Girl, and there's the episode where Schmidt tries to hang out with the cool new neighbors. They're like younger than them, and Jess is like, yeah, they keep changing the subject every time you say something. That's how you know somebody doesn't like you. And I was like, oh shit, that happens to me all the time, like, so having these spaces where, we can talk about things, sort of the Peterson, I think goes back to Alfred North Whitehead, like your ideas are not you. And so if you live that way, you can create spaces like this where it's sort of like Beyblades. You can knock your ideas against each other and have them blow up or fall apart, and it's like, that's okay because nobody got hurt. And it's the opposite of a safe space where nobody gets to say anything, and hey, nice hat.
I have no idea the topic. I joined because of the hats. Continue, Ian. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Continue.
So I just was thinking about the way that things come top down, because we're so prone to submit ourselves to the crowd. I think that's what it is. Like, if the crowd supports someone's languaging of something, then it's very easy for a top down influence to occur. And I think to some extent that happens here, like Jordan Peterson, John Vervaeke, PVK, they say stuff and then we're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And we're much more loose with it. There's no societal pressure, I would say, or less of it. Although, people have been getting booted from streams recently, so I don't know. But it's like we don't have the necessary enforcement structures to sort of become corrupted, which means we don't build up into anything. The TLC is always trying to define itself. Somebody said that in the chat. It's like, that's true, but it also allows for this. It's this sketching out of different ideas. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I think that's just necessary for all of us.
I think, though, you do have... This is a space that's open to more topics, but you still have to be on those topics.
That's true.
Like
That's
I
true.
do think when someone comes in and they want to do something completely different, because I have the exact same experience where I'm like, hey, people don't want to talk about John Brown, so stop bringing him up at parties. Is like, but there's a different set of topics, but this is a place to talk about those. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right. Like, for example, someone like David Busatil may come in during the final words round and then just start talking and interrupt the flow and think this is just like the free form section, but he doesn't even know what's going on because he hasn't been watching the rest of the stream.
Nice hat, David. I'm just star manning.
It's the hats are the only reason I joined, right? That's
You don't want, you go back later for my monologues to clip to send to PVK all the great things that I've said.
I'm here for the aesthetic. Aesthetically, I joined.
Unfortunately, that's what I get a lot of it. The people just say that they're here for the aesthetics, which makes me feel really good about how smart I am and my ideas.
That just doesn't that mean you're good looking? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry
know.
what I did, Luke. I'm so sorry.
Okay. So you can have here, I'll give you the last word. Gabe, welcome. Thank you for coming. Can you give us your first and your last word?
I was just here to break the tie on the white versus black hats.
Oh,
Yeah.
we're getting some good reasons for coming in.
At the end there.
All right, well, that's fine. Listen, this is part of the levity and the silliness of the TLC. We all know Alan's not going to put a hat on after he spent so much time combing his hair.
Yosef said, Ian is looking for a brave space instead of a safe space.
Yeah, which is a hezi. That's a heziism.
Nice.
Yeah, aesthetics. There we go. Ridiculous, Nick. Ridiculous.
All I hear is criticize.
There had to have been at least one guy who joined because he liked ghosts and then only found out about the racism later.
It's not a KKK hat.
It happened at least once.
It's not a KKK hat. It's like to the side. It's like a gnome hat.
Like a Smurf. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you guys call this? In Canada, we call this a toque.
Yeah, toque.
This is a toque. Okay.
I don't know.
Beanie or a toboggan?
But you've never heard it called a toque?
No, that's from the Lord of the Rings.
See you, buddy. Oh yeah, toque. That's one of the cousins. That's like they live in the Shire.
That's right.
Or they're from. Maybe they're not from.
Son of a fool of a toque.
Yeah.
Fool of a toque.
All right, kids. Well, we'll put in the comments if I'm pro-ICE, if I'm anti-ICE, if I'm a racist, if I'm a bigot, or if I'm a really good person. Let me know. I will base my emotions and my day off of those.
And the hats that those commenters wear.
Yeah. Tell us the best hats. Brett, thank you for breaking the fourth wall. Thank you for that honor. And yeah,
you probably gotta go. And this is me just being. I was a 9 growing up. I learned not to assert myself, and I'm just trying to overcome that.
I'd like to make space for it.
You skipped my last word. I don't.
Oh
have
shoot!
To go, but it's okay.
No.
You kind of.
No. Okay. Listen, I don't. When people just tell me I'm a bad administrator and that I've forgotten something, that's fine. That's allowable.
Okay. Thank you.
That's allowable. I'm sorry. I want to give
Thank you,
you the
sir.
last word. You close this out, Sam.
All right. Well, I'm going to bring it a little bit back to something J.P. Marceau said recently. He's on the Peugeot Symbolic World. He wrote a whole essay about kind of the flood through to the Babel Tower, and then kind of what had happened after that. And he basically said like the licentiousness that caused the disintegration of the world into the flood resulted in a kind of mindset that said we're not letting that happen again, and then sort of created the authoritarian tower and that nonstop kind of tension between the two. And yet there seems to be yet a faithful path. For me, these sort of mythic pictures help me to kind of try and walk that faithful path, whether it's a third way or some other thing, I'm not sure. But I think also of the book of Revelation, where you've got, of course, the whore and the beast, and it's a very similar thing, where the beast eventually says enough's enough. The licentiousness that has gone on, it's not sustainable. We're going to turn and destroy. And it seems like that's kind of the place that we're at now. Who knows exactly? These mythical images are hard to interpret and make sense of. But at least in my life, I think of it as, how can I be like the faithful one who's, spirited away on the wings of the angels? How can I have a table prepared before me in the presence of my enemies and live in that kind of peace? And I think that's only possible, bringing it full circle back to the beginning of your stream, Luke, by having that inner chamber of your heart connected up, that spirit that cries out from deep to deep, so that you can say, even in the hard external pressures, the suffering that goes in a real way, like, surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life.
See, that's a good ending.
That is a good ending. So
you did a garbage ending, Luke, compared to that. That was.
I was gonna say, lock and load your inner chamber. Get ready, Minneapolis. All right, thank you guys all for coming. I appreciate it. Until next time, peace be with you.
And also with you, your
and
spirit.
meow, and meow, so with you.
And meow, so with you. Right.